feeling closer to or just below freezing in that brisk wind. As for Friday, well, lots of showers feeding in from the north and northwest. Again, they'll be wintry for many areas and a frosty start, and temperatures again struggling with those showers, if anything, becoming more widespread as we go into the weekend. Areas of rain and snow moving in from the southwest as we go through Saturday and Sunday. Can well give some disruption in places, so do keep tuned to the forecast if you can. I'll see you soon. Take care for now. Speak soon. Bye-bye for now.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
There's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize ever, an incredible £50,000. What would you spend £50,000 on in the coming year? Spectacular holidays, a brand new car, home improvements, or maybe you'd just like to save it for a special occasion? For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's a time for the vegan community to get together, as well as an opportunity for non-vegans to try going plant-based.
Well, joining us now is some of her delicious hummus. We both love hummus. This is a great thing. This is the founder of Chickpea, Hannah McCollum. Hannah, lovely to meet you. And you've brought in some of your beautiful products in front of you here. So can you talk us through some of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a range of chilled hummus, and then latest to the range of a new ambient snack pot, which is a fridgeless hummus that doesn't require refrigeration. But I started Chickpea because of my love for hummus, but also sustainability and reducing food waste and encouraging people to be more plant-based without saying go vegan.
Does normal, traditional hummus have anything that's not vegan appropriate in it?
Not really.
No,
I think
it's always chickpeas, olive oil, maybe some other bits.
Yeah, lemon juice, aquafibre or water to help with consistency, garlic, and rapeseed oil or olive oil.
And there's a bit of a misconception about veganism that I hear a lot, where people say, look, I'm not a vegan, I love my steaks, I'll just get out of there now. But there's a misconception that you don't get the protein, you don't get the fats, and you're kind of just eating processed salads and, fake meat and things. But that's not quite the case, especially with chickpeas, right?
Yeah, I think protein is really important, and actually a lot of people think I need a certain amount of fish every week or meat, but actually a lot of the fish and meat that you're eating are eating higher protein foods, so algae, seaweed, pulses, all these types of plant-based foods. For me, veganism is like you could have a delicious rye seeded bread with just loads of roasted vegetables, seeds, tahini sauce on top.
That sounds
and there's nothing beige in there at all.
GB News, the People's Channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight, 10 dead, 35 injured in an ISIS terror attack in New Orleans.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
It's just landed in the couple of minutes before I came on air, which is that the police now think that maybe 2 other men and a woman planted explosives as well. It begs the question, how many more jihadis are still on the loose? And
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found.
yeah, it turns out it obviously was a terror attack, and that was wrong, wasn't it? So why do they always want to lie to us? Oh, and earlier today, this happened outside Trump's hotel in Vegas.
Copy.
Look, something weird's happening, OK? Also tonight,
For almost a decade, rumours swirled about children being raped and brutally assaulted in a small town in northwest England.
There has been a disgusting grooming gang cover-up, and frankly, heads must roll. Plus,
I want to be clear, until you can look forward and believe in the promise and the prosperity of Britain again, then this government will fight for you.
doesn't that just make you want to walk into the sea? Can Starmer do anything to turn it around in 2025? On my panel tonight, it's the political commentator Alice Grant. We've got journalist and author Emma Wolfe and political commentator Samuel Sweet. Looking forward to getting stuck into it with all of you. Oh, and the new James Bond has been revealed. Everybody, there you go. You can stop your betting now. It is, of course, that man. Yes, anyway, get ready, Britain. Here we go. Jihad comes to America. Next.
Good evening. These are your headlines from the GB Newsroom. The suspect accused of driving a truck through a crowd in New Orleans, killing 10 people and injuring at least 35, has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar. The FBI are investigating this morning's deadly attack as an act of terrorism. They have provided more details on the attacker, saying he's a US citizen from Texas, and they do not believe he acted alone. They added that an ISIS flag was located in the vehicle, and they're working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organisations. Weapons and a potential improvised explosive device were also located in the vehicle. Other potential IEDs were also located in the French Quarter. Local police said the driver of the vehicle got out and opened fire on police, with 2 officers shot, but in a stable condition, while the suspect was declared dead at the scene. The US President Joe Biden says he has been continually briefed on the incident and that he is grateful for the brave and swift response of local law enforcement in preventing even greater death and injury. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says his administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as it investigates and recovers from this morning's attack. In other news now, Sir Keir Starmer has hailed 2024 as a year of change as he shared his first New Year's message as Prime Minister. Sir Keir declared that the UK will embark on a year of rebuilding and rediscovering the nation we are in 2025.
Until you can look forward and believe in the promise and the prosperity of Britain again, then this government will fight for you.
But the Conservatives have accused Labour of offering change for the worse, as Kemi Badenoch used her own New Year's message to warn that efforts to turn around Tory fortunes would be bumpy.
Happy New Year. Like all of you, I am looking forward to a 2025 that is full of hope, security and prosperity. The Conservative Party is also going through a period of change. This process of renewal will be a long-term project. Things may be bumpy along the way, but the party I now lead is going to do things differently. Watch this space.
Now, a major incident has been declared in Greater Manchester after flooding forced homes to be evacuated and closed train lines and roads following heavy rain. More than 100 flood warnings have been issued across the UK as rain continues to batter parts of the country on the first day of 2025. Meanwhile, a 3-day snow warning has been issued for almost all of England and parts of Scotland this weekend, as the Met Office has warned rural communities could become cut off. And Jocelyn Wildenstein has died at the age of 84. The socialite, nicknamed Catwoman because she reportedly had many facial surgeries in the hope of resembling a cat, has passed away on Tuesday in Paris from a pulmonary embolism. Those are the latest GB News headlines. More in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good evening. Jihad has come to America again. Shamsuddin Jabbar, good, solid, traditional American name, drove a pickup truck into a crowd of people in New Orleans. 10 people are dead, 35 others are injured. The motive could not be clearer. There was an ISIS flag attached to his vehicle and explosive devices found in and around his car. But it gets worse, I'm afraid.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
In fact, in the last few minutes, just before I came on air, they think now that maybe there were 2 other men and a woman who might have planted some explosive devices around New Orleans as well. It appears, doesn't it, that there is a jihadi terror network on the run. Look, wake up, everybody. ISIS and Al-Qaeda are back in a big way. There was an attack on a Taylor Swift concert that was thwarted. There were threats to Champions League matches. All of the security services are warning us about it. There was the Olympics as well, wasn't there? They've cancelled a major football match in New Orleans. They clearly feel as though something else is coming. And I hate to say this, but I do think it's important to be honest with each other, isn't it? I think clearly something is coming our way too, isn't it? Let's get our thoughts on my panel. This evening, we are, of course, joined by the wonderful Alice Grant. We've got Emma Wolfe and we've got Samuel Sweet. Can I just say a very, very happy New Year to all of you. I do thank you very much for joining us this evening. Emma, I'll start with you. Look, this is well, it's very concerning stuff. It's a breaking, developing story, but, you know, it appears pretty cut and dry. ISIS has attacked America.
The man was driving a Jeep with an ISIS flag on it. I don't know why we can't just be honest about this and assess the threat and, you know, put the precautions in place that we need to, rather than trying to be politically correct about this or not offend people, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not our fault there was an ISIS flag on the back of that truck, right? Like, we didn't do that, you know, he did.
Not at all, but it's interesting, actually, because I remember watching the NBC coverage. They focused a lot about the immediate safety precautions, as you mentioned. So, for example, bollards and, like, things like that. And I'm like, OK, so that's one part of it. The actual physical safety of our towns and our local areas is one part. Another part is the actual threat of this radicalism that's growing unchecked.
Yeah.
And that is definitely, perhaps, the more important thing to be focusing on.
Yeah, indeed. Samuel, welcome to the sofa, mate.
Thank you.
What do you make of this? Because, you know, there appeared to me, anyway, to be a bit of a rush to do everything to not jump to conclusions here, despite the ISIS flag on the back. There's a sign for me, anyway, that we're always being lied to a little bit about this stuff. Do you think?
I don't know about lied to. I think it's probably the intentions of the police and the authorities to try and calm the situation. Obviously, people are deeply concerned in New Orleans and in towns and cities in America and around the world because, you know, as we've seen over many years, terrorist attacks have happened. They're all abhorrent, and there is often networks that lead to these things, whether it be, you know, radical jihad terror, whether it be far-right terrorism, whether it be neo-Nazis. We've seen it over many decades. And I think, as I said, I think there needs to be, from the authorities' perspective, a way to calm those tensions initially and not allow people to sort of run away with a narrative.
Want to interject there, do you?
Interesting. I agree, and I think we should talk about those solutions. That's the point. The point is it's time to have those discussions about how do we actually tackle this massive problem. It was only a few days ago we had a similar terror attack in Germany targeting a Christmas market. And as you said in your monologue, perhaps we could be next if we're not careful. So we have to look to the root of the issue in this case, and that definitely is extremist ideology, as you were right to say, across all spectrums, growing to a point which is unmanageable.
I will just,
what is being done by the police about this?
I'll come to you. I just want to show. Okay, look, I think something a bit weird is going on, right? Because this Tesla Cybertruck has blown up outside Trump's hotel in Vegas, right? So, look, Tesla, obviously Elon Musk, Trump. So, I think you put 2 and 2 together and it looks a bit like something might be going on here. But we do have some footage here, I think, of that moment of explosion.
Copy.
Yeah, look, there are, and I will stress this, unconfirmed reports at the moment that, and I think, to be honest, you could see that there, really, which is that there were kind of fireworks-style mortars in that. You can see them kind of going off secondary there. There you go. Emma, I do think something a bit weird's going on here, isn't it?
I do think something a bit weird's going on. Of course, and I agree with the others, we can't rush to conclusions, and it's no good the security services or the police or anyone releasing information when it's not confirmed and when it's just kind of supposition. But also, I just want to say, New Orleans is a beautiful, beautiful city. For loads of us have been there. I'm sure lots of viewers have been there. what a thing to happen in the early hours of New Year's Day at such a special time, just like the Christmas market. People are out to celebrate, to enjoy themselves. The people of New Orleans are probably some of the best people in the world. The area where this happened, Bourbon Street, is in the French Quarter, which is full of like live music and jazz and bars and amazing booze and everything. And I just think we should take a moment to think about New Orleans and what people are going through there. 35 people injured, probably.
Well, actually, I'm sorry to do this. I'm just getting it in my ear at the moment. Apparently, according to ABC News, the death toll has just risen to 15, so up from 10. There were 35 others
at this time of year.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely shocking. That is now 15 more people killed in the West by what appears to be radical Islamism. But what do we do about this? I know that's a big question. But
yeah, that's the thing. Well, we know, firstly, that a lot of the radicalisation starts on a community level, and it can be a few leading figures in a community which enjoy stirring up this hatred towards people of the Christian tradition, and that is a lot of us here in the West. So I think that the police really ought to start looking at them as, approaching this as they would do any other form of extremism. So we need to see these congregations properly being investigated and tackled. And I think also the internet is another large place where this is happening. And we hear a lot about people who are tweeting politically incorrect things being targeted by the police. What about on the other side? We know there's a lot of horrible extremism on the internet from Islamist extremists. So
yeah, not another far right attack, Samuel.
No, I mean certainly the signs sort of indicate that it does look like somebody is acting on behalf of ISIS. But I think it's very important as well to obviously state that these people do not represent the Islam faith or Muslims as a wider population. In fact, you'll be some of the first people to condemn these atrocities and actually reach out to the community. You think back in 2017, there was actually when there was a terrorist attack in Finsbury Park on a mosque.
Yes, yeah.
The way that the community came together there.
That's true. What is it? Look, you are absolutely right, by the way. But what is quite funny is that the Muslim Council of Britain decided to do a report into the show and the channel actually. And they would currently class this, what we're talking about here now, as me talking about Muslims, right, as opposed to what we're doing, which is about radical Islamist terrorism. So it's interesting. You're right to say let's not bracket it. So we don't do that, but it's quite funny that the Muslim Council of Britain decided to do that when they did a report. But anyway, it's my own personal grievance, of course. Trump is saying, this is what happens when you let foreigners in, but actually this guy was... He was born in Texas, apparently.
Served in the US military,
Served in the US military. We're going to come on in the second hour, Emma, to talk about something else. There are some rumours going around at the moment, or reports, I should say, going around at the moment, that actually he was known to authorities, and that he might have been known to be a bit radical whilst he was in the military. You mentioned about these bollards not being erected because they're under construction. Yeah, is this another failure again, do you think, of security services, maybe?
Why do we keep seeing these individuals who have multiple times been flagged up by the authorities and are known to be a threat? And then it just, something falls through the net, or they're not being pursued properly, or, they're not. Why are they not being stopped?
It's always a giveaway when there's a mugshot, isn't it? Because it means that they've been nicked for something. Like when it goes, all right, who is this?
And known to the police.
Well, what have they been nicked for? There you go, right? So it's like, well, there was something there, wasn't there? Look, we are going to be talking about this quite a lot later on in the show because. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that incident as well outside the Trump Hotel in Vegas. I will stress again, and I'm genuinely not trying to, scare everyone into oblivion and all of this stuff, but we have been continually warned over the course of the last few months by MI5, by MI6, that something is going on when it comes to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. We are seeing that now, I think, aren't we? Really, we're seeing it in America. Big question marks over what we saw at that German Christmas market the other week. Vienna, of course, that was thwarted. So just take care out there, everyone, I think. But good start, though. Thank you very much, everybody. And if you didn't get everything, in a massive gear change, if you didn't get everything on your Christmas list this year, how about 50 grand in tax-free cash? Well, it really could all be yours in our biggest ever Great British giveaway. Here's all the details on how you can win.
There's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize ever, an incredible £50,000. What would you spend £50,000 on in the coming year? Spectacular holidays, a brand new car, home improvements, or maybe you'd just like to save it for a special occasion? For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Everybody, yes, okay. Coming up, the horrific details of a sick Oxford grooming gang who abused and groomed a girl as young as 13. Look, this is absolutely harrowing, this, okay? And frankly, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's a cover-up. It's a huge cover-up, and heads need to roll. So the details are so horrendous, I actually can't read them out properly on air. But why are some politicians and the mainstream media too scared to report the truth about grooming gangs? One man who isn't too scared is the podcast host, the wonderful Winston Marshall, and he joins me live very, very soon. But first,
I want to be clear. Until you can look forward and believe in the promise and the prosperity of Britain again, then this government will fight for you.
Honestly, okay. Well, that was cheery, wasn't it? He's promised to rebuild the UK, but with his approval ratings, the lowest of any Prime Minister in modern history, do you really trust Keir Starmer to turn this country around? CEO of the Youth Vote, Alex Cairns, goes head-to-head with former Tory MP Tom Hunt. Stay tuned.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Cryptocurrency entrepreneur Justin's son spent $6.2 million, £4.9 million, on a banana. Duct taped to a wall, a piece of art by artist Mauricio Catalan. Other artwork has recently caused controversy. A portrait of the British computer scientist Alan Turing by the world's first ultra-realistic robot artist, that is to say, ADAR, sold at auction for almost $1.1 million. Joining me now to talk about these latest hoo-has is art critic and mentor at the University of Arts London, Estelle Lovett. I have a feeling that in the case of the banana, it's quite a lot to do with the buyer. Now, you've researched the buyer a little bit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Justin's son?
Yes, so he's a very wealthy cryptocurrency dealer. And of course, you know, everything now is AI and FTs, and it's the way that money's going, and it's very good publicity for him. So obviously, you know, he's not daft. But what makes this banana so unusual is, and it has, as you say, taken the art world by storm. It is the current spectacle, and what's amazing is that even during these very difficult times, the art market still manages to spend big on a significant fuss. Why has it created this fuss? Well, don't forget, the winning bid just happened in a matter of minutes. It took Justin's son minutes to beat 6 other rivals, so they've all got mega bucks in their pocket. But you know, it's conceptual art at its best.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them. Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, welcome back. So coming up, why do politicians and the mainstream media ignore the truth about grooming gangs? There's been a whopping great big cover-up. It's absolutely sickening, actually. I'm going to tell you about all of that shortly. But first, do you trust Keir Starmer to turn this country around? It's time now for the head-to-head. Well, look, hey, we all need to be led, don't we? In this particular gloomy New Year message, the Prime Minister has promised that 2025 will be a year of rebuilding, with his government looking to turn the corner after a disastrous first 6 months.
I want to be clear, until you can look forward and believe in the promise and the prosperity of Britain again, then this government will fight for you. A fight for change that will define this year, next year, and indeed every waking hour of this government. That is what we will be focusing on. A year of rebuilding, but also rediscovering the great nation that we are.
It's just guff, isn't it? Starmer is starting the new year with the lowest poll ratings of any Prime Minister in modern history, with a recent poll suggesting that his party would lose nearly 200 seats if we had another go at the election today. And the latest analysis suggests that Labour have lost over 1 in 5 council by-elections since Starmer came to power. Look, tonight I'm asking, do you think he can turn it around? Make sure you get in touch. Go on your say, the usual way. At GB News on Twitter as well. We've got a poll, I think, so get involved with that. But going head-to-head on this now are the political commentator and CEO of the Youth Vote UK, Alex Cairns, and former Tory MP, Tom Hunt. Chaps, thank you very much. Happy New Year to both of you. I hope it's a great year. Tom, I will start with you, mate. Do you think that Keir Starmer can turn this around?
Well, I think it would be unprecedented. And actually, I think that his slump in popularity has been unprecedented. So I think it would be really quite surprising if he was able to turn this around. I saw his New Year's message. I think his problem is a lot of people have simply stopped listening to him. I mean, clearly they got fed up with us. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't. I thought they wanted change. They voted for a Labour government. And I think that many of them think they've seen enough in the last 7 months. And, you know, the one thing that could probably save Labour and save Starmer would be growth in the economy.
Yeah.
But, you know, as the Bank of England has said, as many other economic experts have said, the policies that they brought forward have been anti-growth. So I don't think anything's going to come riding to a rescue. I don't think growth is going to come riding to a rescue. And frankly, on things like the small boat crossings and immigration, I think we're going to see, my prediction is the situation is going to become far worse.
OK, yeah, well, I think, I mean, we're seeing it, aren't we? But, Alex, I'll bring you in, mate. So, well, you think he can turn it around, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And I've got an optimistic kind of perspective on this. I actually think that they've only been in power 6 months. And actually, in that 6 months, we've seen them get to work very, very quickly. Every single government that comes in, especially with the mess that the previous government left, it was going to be very, very difficult. I don't remember in practically my lifetime any government making every single decision that everyone's going to be happy with. There are going to be some tough choices. But actually, the Workers' Rights Bill has been very, very good for, you know, a lot of young people that I represent. The Renters' Bill, you know, Section 21, no-fault evictions. We're seeing lots of renters now very happy with the government.
Not good for landlords, though, is it, that?
But we're seeing lots of decisions made, you know, in the next few months. They're going to be looking at the NHS, you know, looking at really focusing on primary care. You know, they're looking at Great British Rail, making that simpler, you know, lots of the pay disputes. You know, there's lots of good things that they're doing, and actually I think there's a lot of doom and gloom that the right love to focus on, but there's actually lots of positives to focus on as well.
OK, Tom, I think you hit on something earlier on, which is once the rot sets in, it's very difficult to come back. And if people have fundamentally stopped listening to him, he's done, isn't he?
Well, look, I mean, I think what's quite remarkable is the fact that Starmer didn't really have a honeymoon at all. I mean, I think we saw the last Labour government, when he first got elected in 97, there was a substantial period where Tony Blair had a honeymoon period, David Cameron had a bit of a honeymoon period. I mean, it's almost quite rapidly things started going wrong for Keir Starmer. So, no, I'm not seeing any evidence that things are going to change. I think that if you look at education policy, I think it's going to have, as a former chair of the SEND committee in Parliament, I think that's going to have terrible consequences to SEND kids. It's going to be an exodus of SEND kids from the independent sector to the state sector. Look, I'm a former Conservative MP. You wouldn't exactly expect me to be coming on here saying positive things about the Labour government. But I have to say, I have been surprised at how quickly it's all fallen apart. I thought it might have taken a bit longer.
Look, mate, you made a reasonable point, which is that I think, to be fair, people had maybe had enough of the previous government. They might regret that decision now. I don't know, but I think So you're not completely biased in that regard. But Alex, do you think Keir Starmer is now realising that he is massively out of his depth? Because some of these things that have happened that have dented his popularity, he says in that video that we just played out there, this government is going to keep fighting for you. What evidence is there of them actually fighting for normal people?
Well, and I mentioned it previously, there's lots of parts of society that are going to actually benefit in the long term. I talked about the renters' bill, I talked about the workers' rights, I talked about they're looking at economically inactive. There's 9.3 million
but
people.
What are we doing about that, mate? No, look, sorry to interrupt, but that's a really important point, because the country needs to sort that out.
Absolutely.
What is he actually doing about that? Because, in the run-up to the elections, Sunak said that he was going to cut benefits. And Starmer said he was going to fix the NHS. The implication there is that for Starmer, everyone who is off sick is genuinely sick. I don't think they are. So how is he going to sort that out?
Well, they're looking at there's the jobs kind of coaches that are kind of assessing whether people should be off for mental health reasons, people off long-term sick. So they're basically looking at putting some investment in to basically look at the processes as to how we're going to make sure that people are not just being given essentially a doctor's note. At the moment, GPs are put in a very difficult position. They're trying to remove that because it's not really fair for GPs to basically put in that position. So it's going to take a while, but tangibly, they're actually going to put some money in. And there's lots of other ways. Yes, I know that the farmers are unhappy. I know that some pensioners are unhappy. But like I said, in the last government, there was a big portion of the public that weren't happy as well. So not every single government decision is going to be beneficial. They're actually trying to address the most important things that will help us get growth.
It's interesting, though, Tom, isn't it? Because let's have it right, OK? Kemi, I don't think, has had cut through. And the momentum on the right appears to... You might disagree with this. The momentum on the right appears to be with reform, as far as I can gather. So it's all very well and good us having these conversations and asking Alex about, well, what's Starmer going to do about benefits and this, that and the other. Actually, it doesn't matter. Because if the right doesn't unite, it's Starmer forever, isn't it?
Well, look, it is a big challenge. And I think that, Kemi isn't to blame, frankly, for the fact that there's this reform threat. The reason why there's this reform threat is because after 14 years of Conservative government, we let a lot of people down. Let's be honest about that. Kemi's got a big job on her hands. I think she's got the potential to be great. But clearly, that's a big challenge for us. I think people are fed up with Labour. I think when it comes to the next election, people want to get rid of Labour. But I think it's just going to be how we best do
What would you do, Tom? What would you do? Would you try to broker some kind of deal, do you think?
Look, ultimately, I think the key thing is for the Conservative Party to demonstrate that it gets it, that it understands that people were let down. And I think on things like immigration, it's absolutely vital that we get credibility back. I think we've got to stand for core Conservative values. I think we've got to provide a plan for growth and a plan to get this country moving again, but also robustly hold Labour to account and explain the consequences of a socialist government.
Well, we're potentially all living it. Guys, can I just say a massive thank you? I know it was a bit short and sweet there, but it was great to have you both in. Again, very, very happy New Year to both of you. That's the CEO of the Youth Vote UK, Alex Cairns, and the former Tory MP, Tom Hunt. Now, I've got a lot on tonight. Should we be worried now about a New Orleans-style terror attack here in the UK? And what is going on, actually, in America? There's been a cyber truck that's blown up outside a Trump hotel, and there's something a bit weird is happening, I think. I'm going to be joined live by Reform UK spokesperson Anne Widdecombe very soon, but first, these absolutely horrific details of a sick Oxford grooming gang who abused and groomed a girl as young as 13 have gone viral on social media. The details are so horrendous, I'm not just saying this, I can't read them out on air, right? It's awful, right? But why are some politicians in the mainstream media too scared to actually report the truth about the grooming gangs, i.e., why are they covering it up? One man who isn't too scared is the podcast host Winston Marshall. He joins me live next.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. Things are looking much colder now across the UK over the next few days. There'll be plenty of sunshine around during the day, but also lots of frost and ice around during the overnight periods. Wintry showers in places too. Low pressure starting to pull away to the east of the UK now. That's allowing a cold northerly airstream to become established, and that's set to dominate the weather across the UK over the next few days. So overnight tonight, the last of the rain clears from the far southeast fairly promptly. Showers ease across the central slice of the UK, but showers continue across the north and northwest in that northwesterly airstream. And wherever you are, it's set to turn very chilly overnight, and widespread frost forming even in towns and cities, with some icy patches certainly across the north of the UK. As for Thursday, well, plenty of sunshine around, certainly across inland areas. Still showers feeding down in that north to northwesterly airstream. So showers continue across the north of Scotland during the first part of Thursday, a mixture of sleet, snow, some hail in places as well. A few showers pushing into Northern Ireland, but across the bulk of southern Scotland, northern England, and much of England and Wales. It's set fair, plenty of sunshine, but it will be a very cold start, as I say, with some frost and some ice in places too. As we go through the day, those showers start to feed down from the north and northwest. So many areas exposed to that north to northwesterly airstream will see some showers at times. And wherever you are, despite the sunshine elsewhere, it's going to be a cold day, feeling even colder in that north to northwesterly wind. Temperatures at the very best up to 6 or 7 Celsius down towards the south and southwest. 6 or 7 in the southwest there is in the low 40s in Fahrenheit, but feeling closer to or just below freezing in that brisk wind. As for Friday, well, lots of showers feeding in from the north and northwest. Again, they'll be wintry for many areas and a frosty start, and temperatures again struggling with those showers, if anything, becoming more widespread as we go into the weekend. Areas of rain and snow moving in from the southwest as we go through Saturday and Sunday. Can well give some disruption in places, so do keep tuned to the forecast if you can. I'll see you soon. Take care for now. Speak soon. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Britain.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for subscribing.
Thank you for your support.
It's you that make us the People's Channel.
As we reflect on our journey so far, we're filled with immense gratitude.
You mean the world to us. We couldn't have reached this point without you.
As a very special thank you, we are giving you the chance to win one of 50 GB News thank you boxes. They're worth £50 each.
For full terms and conditions, and to enter, just go to gbnews.com/thank you.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Coming up, I'm going to be joined live by Reform UK spokesperson Anne Widdecombe. But first, Elon Musk has tonight waded into the row over grooming gangs after a transcript of an Oxford grooming gang went viral on social media. So responding to it's on your screen now, OK? I mean, it's absolutely harrowing, this. I am not going to read it out, and I'm sorry, but... not allowed, really. It described this horrendous abuse of a 13-year-old girl at the hands of 44-year-old Mohammed Karar. Details are so horrific, I am apparently not allowed to say them on national television. Musk wrote on X, so many people at all levels of power in the UK need to be in prison for this. Indeed, in the past few hours, GB News exclusively revealed that the Labour government has formally rejected repeated requests for a Home Office-led inquiry into historic child abuse in Oldham after the town's council voted on the matter earlier this year. Very pleased to be joined now by the host of the Winston Marshall Show. Winston Marshall, Happy New Year. Although in line with what we're talking about, it's not really, is it? But Winston, thank you very much for joining us. This is absolutely, utterly disgusting. And there's a cover-up, isn't there?
Patrick, Happy New Year. Thank you for having me on your show. I would start by saying you've been one of the brave journalists, certainly in broadcast media, to consistently report and cover this unbelievably important and horrific story. It's in the news now, firstly, because Elon Musk retweeted, as you pointed out, 2 posts. One was of the transcript of Mohammed Karar's trial in June 2013, and the other was of the 2014 J report, as you say correctly, absolutely horrific. And if you anyone watching and listening hasn't read these reports, it's more disgusting than anything you could possibly imagine. So that's why this story has blown up online and why it's getting some much deserved attention. I like you have been covering it on my show as well, and it's, I hope by getting this attention to it, Elon giving it this attention, it will be taken more seriously. This is a horrific story, and I want to start by making the case, because this should be household. It should be considered. It should be known to everyone. We should know about it. And
I'll tell you what, Winston. Sorry about this, but I'm just thinking about this as we go on. I do think that it is important to give people a little bit of context here. We are talking about a 12-year-old girl and a group of men doing the most horrific stuff to her, and preparing that, and it's like sick stuff, really sick stuff. Why wouldn't we just have a national inquiry into this, though? Why don't we just get it all out there?
Patrick, just for further context, anyone who's new to this topic, we're talking about decades of what they call the grooming gangs, euphemistically, or what is officially called child sexual exploitation, or what, if we are being totally frank, is rape gangs. And it has been happening for decades in over 50 cities and towns up and down our country. And at least 5 young girls have been killed by these gangs. These should be household names, and they're not, but I'll read them to you. Laura Wilson, age 17. Lucy Lowe, age 16. Victoria Agoglia, age 15. Charlene Downs, age 14. The killer of Charlene Downs, by the way, gloated about putting her remains into the kebab. Another killed was Becky Watson, aged 13. And that's not to mention Victoria Round, who died at 20, who was put on crack at age 12, pregnant by age 16. These are horrific crimes, the likes of which our country has never known. And it is very much in the imagination of the nation. I would say that what happened after the Southport killing, in the August riots that happened after that, a lot of the spirit that animated those riots would because, in part, of this relentless abuse of young girls and authorities doing nothing about it. Now, as you mentioned, Jess Phillips has just said that she will not have a government inquiry into, as requested by Oldham Council. Now, the reason why that is so disgraceful is because, as you listeners might remember, Greater Manchester Combined Authority in 2019 did a report for Oldham. And although they did find that there were terrible failings of children and that children were terribly abused, there was no evidence, according to that report, of a cover-up, nor of these children being let down by authorities.
The evidence of a cover-up is the fact that nothing happened about it for decades. Right. Sorry, Winston, just quickly as well, I appreciate everything you've said, by the way. I'm sure you hopefully know it. I have to say, look, Southport-related stuff, all of the lads, there's going to be a trial about this. We have to wait and see what the crack is there. But honestly, the cover-up, we live the cover-up. We live the cover-up. We know there's a cover-up. People don't want to talk about it. What are they afraid of, Winston?
Well, that's a question for Jess Phillips. She's rejected that there be a government inquiry, but we already had a local inquiry in Oldham. So what is it? The question for Jess Phillips is, why not? There should be, absolutely should be.
Yeah, 100%. Robert Jemmerich's piped up on this as well. He said, look, people, heads need to roll. And they do. I mean, you look at the horrific scale of abuse. You've rattled off there several incidents. And actually, I'm glad you did that. You know, you named, unfortunately, some of the girls who are no longer with us. And I think that's really important that you did that, Winston. This should be... we treat the post office scandal as a national scandal, right? You know, we treat various different things, the contaminated blood scandal, and rightly so, okay. But why don't we treat this with the same degree of national scandal? Because it's still happening, Winston. It's happening now.
Well, Patrick, you wouldn't want to inflame racial tensions. You wouldn't want to have a quote-unquote moral panic. And that's exactly what the people trying to put this story under the rug want say that this is inflaming. That's why they don't want this story out. I've got a question for you and your viewers. Oh. Why is it that the same people who make such shrill, cacophonous objections at this story at children not being allowed puberty blockers are the same people who don't want to talk about this? Why is it that those same people harp on shrilly about the August riots, but don't do so about the preceding killing that inspired them? Why is it that the evasion of morality by those that we might call virtue signaling morality police, why is there this double standard? That's the question that boggles my mind. Fascinating, isn't it? I've thought about this quite a lot, right? Which is like, are some of them almost in favour of some of the kind of behaviour that we see? You know, is that the implication there? I find it very weird. Obviously, they would deny that, Winston, no doubt. But thank you very much. Again, Happy New Year to you. All the very best, mate, and I hope to see you again very, very soon. Winston Marshall there. OK, so I just want to clarify something. A Home Office spokesman said no child should ever suffer sexual abuse or exploitation. Everyone who is responsible for children's welfare must learn from past mistakes and do everything possible to prevent future failures. I think as well, I should say as well that no one, I believe, was ever actually convicted for Charlotte Downs' murder, which you might have heard Winston mention there, but anyway, right. Moving on. The New Orleans car attack that killed, well, it's now 15 actually, is indeed being investigated now as a terror attack. The alleged attacker even had an ISIS flag on him. So did the US authorities try to cover up yet another possible Islamist terror attack? We talk about that at 10 p.m. Also, Anne Widdecombe joins me. She's live and she's next.
I hope it doesn't rain.
Don't worry about it.
It'll spoil our holiday.
Relax, we're totally covered.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest GB News winter sun forecast, and for some places, Madeira for example, it is going to be relatively warm to end the week. Lots of dry weather around some parts of southern Europe, but a different story across parts of Italy, Croatia into Greece. A little bit of rain pushing its way through here. Mostly dry across central and southern parts of Spain, a little bit wetter further north, and like I said, for Madeira, temperatures on the rise, getting into the low 20s by the end of the week. Elsewhere, temperatures nearer normal for the time of year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Restaurant St. Bart's executive head chef Johnny Crowe creates ramen with a British twist, using only the finest UK-sourced produce. As the only restaurant in London to hold both a Michelin star and a green Michelin star, St. Bart's emphasises sustainability and the diversity of British ingredients. Johnny joins me now. Johnny, congratulations on having these two Michelins. How do you get a Michelin green star?
Probably a better question for the inspectors, but I mean, I think it's down to a lot of hard work.
What hoops do you have to go through?
So I think it's working every day on it. Sustainability isn't something that you just achieve and then therefore you have it and you can sort of relax. It's about every day trying to be better, trying to make a restaurant and a business that is overly sustainable.
So what things do you do to make it sustainable?
One of the main things that we've really tried to do is focusing on British produce, and actually, you know, part of that is about sustainability and food miles. A massive part of it for us was also about sort of helping the British economy and the farming economy and our fisheries as well. But yeah, no, the idea...
You have a lot of farms near St Bart's, which is in the heart of the City of London.
Well, funnily enough, there's an amazing collective called Shrub Provisions, who we use a hell of a lot, who work with farmers all around East Sussex. So it makes a difference from flying it in from Kenya or somewhere else like that. But no, like a big part of it was, one, using British produce to cut down on food miles, but also helping sustain our farming industry.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Night. Now, in relation to the previous interview, an Oldham Council spokesperson said survivors sit at the heart of our work to end child sexual exploitation. We all recognise that terrible mistakes were made in the past, with children ignored or dismissed. By ensuring that survivors have a voice that is heard, we can help make sure that no child will be failed in the future. Look, basically, Oldham want a national inquiry into grooming gangs, and the Labour government is saying no. So why? Moving on. Look, coming up, did the US authorities try to cover up the fact that this New Orleans terror attack was by ISIS? Well, 15 people are now sadly dead. More than 30 are injured. 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar rammed his car into a crowd of people celebrating New Year's Eve. The FBI are now investigating the attack as terrorism. I'm very pleased to be joined by Anne Widdecombe, Reform UK spokesperson. Anne, thank you very, very much. Why is it that whenever anything like this happens, the first response is to, it's not terror, it's definitely not Islamist terror. He had an ISIS flag on the back of his car.
Yes, and to be perfectly fair, I mean, it was admitted at a very early stage that terror was to blame, and that it was an act of terrorism, and that is what the authorities said. Yes, I mean, there was an ISIS flag. There doesn't seem to me to be any doubt at all about it. But I do think that they're probably a bit quicker than we are. You know, when terrorism is actually there staring you in the face, a bit quicker to say, yes, this is probably terrorism, or it's being investigated as terrorism.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. Concerning stuff, though, Anne, right? Because we are told now in the last couple of weeks, MI5, MI6, look, watch out, ISIS and Al-Qaeda are back in Europe. We had that incident at that German Christmas market, which, with the Vienna near miss with Taylor Swift. We've had a couple of late-stage plots avoided here. We've got this. Something's brewing, I think, Annie. I don't want to scare people, but I think we all know it, don't we?
Oh, I think we know that terrorism is raising its ugly head again. It's never entirely gone away, of course, but it's a difficult one. What you're relying on is intelligence. That's what you've got to rely on, because otherwise you're always responding after the atrocity has taken place. And really, the huge emphasis should be on preventing it in the first place. And that is down 99% to intelligence. Sometimes you get that odd stroke of luck, but normally it's all got to be spotted well beforehand, tracked well beforehand, and all the rest of it. It's not easy, and you'll never score 100%.
It's not easy, and you know, I'm obviously not giving anyone any ideas here because they're doing it already, aren't they? But if all you need is a car and the ability to put your foot on the accelerator, then you know, it's very difficult to defend against. They're saying that the bollards that they had there, unfortunately, they were under construction, which I think is something that is obviously going to have to be looked at. But and this is clearly another attack on our way of life. People out revelling in New Year's Eve. There's similarities there with the Christmas market, similarities with people who want to go to a concert. So this is an attack on Western culture, isn't it?
Well, it absolutely is. But I think what you've got to ask yourself is, you know, what on earth is the end in view that they have? I mean, we're not going to change the Western way of life just because they mount terrorist attacks. We're not going to desist in any action that we're engaged in because they mount terrorist attacks. It's difficult to see what the end is, but I sat through the entire trial of the man who killed the MP, David Amos. And he was just, he was a lone wolf, and he was utterly convinced that Allah wanted him to do the thing he was doing. That's what you're up against. It's a religious fanaticism.
Yeah, I don't know what we do about that. I honestly don't know what we do about that. I don't know what we do about it. Because it's here, isn't it? It's here. We see it time and time again. You know, you can't just start rounding people up again. No one's suggesting that, right? But, like, what on earth do we do about that? It really is astonishing, and I'm not 100% sure. The fear is, look, in a few minutes' time, I'm going to be giving you the very latest on this, but the authorities appear to be saying that there's potentially 2 men and 1 woman who might have planted other devices around New Orleans. What we're showing on your screens here now is the immediate aftermath of that attack. The driver then careered into people, got out and started shooting at people as well. 2 police officers were injured as well, and the jihadi was then killed. But the theory here is that there is a jihadi network at large.
Well, I mean, there may well be. I don't know. I mean, there well may be, and certainly not everybody who acts is a lone wolf. There are such things as terror cells. And, you know, we've had those for many decades. I mean, going right back to the IRA, which we shouldn't forget. Terrorism on the streets of Western capitals, sadly, isn't new.
What does Trump do about this, do you think, Am? Because he is pretty straight down the line on this kind of stuff. I mean, we had, in his last regime, we had the so-called Muslim travel ban at one point, which a lot of people found incredibly controversial. I happen to not think that was particularly controversial, actually. But what does he do now? How does Trump deal with this, do you think?
Well, first of all, as I say, you know, the essence of this is serious intelligence work, and that's where the resources have got to go. And then, of course, there have to be, but if people die as a result of what they're doing, they won't face justice. But there's got to be very, very severe penalty for terrorism, because when you engage in an act of terrorism, it is effectively random. I mean, you don't know if your own parents are going to be there. You know, it's effectively random, and the penalties need to reflect it. No terrorist, no serious terrorist, should ever walk free.
No. Look, Anne, thank you very much, as always. I keep saying Happy New Year to people off the back of talking about incredibly depressing stuff, but Happy New Year to you, and I do hope it's a great year. I hope to see a lot more of you on GB News, and thank you for everything that you've done for us over the course of the year, so you take care. All right. Look, again, it brings me no pleasure to do this, I'm afraid, but we do have now a name here that's just been sent to me of the one of the people who's been killed in this New Orleans terror attack. It's 28-year-old former Princeton football player Tiger Beck. So, unfortunately, one of the people who sadly died in that New Orleans terror attack, and there is a picture of him as well, is the 28-year-old ex-Princeton football player Tiger Beck. The death toll now is up to 15. At least 30 other people are injured as well. The attacker did have an ISIS flag on the back of his vehicle. Next, when I come back, I am going to be, well, frankly, I'm going to be asking you what you make of this.
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found.
ISIS flag on the back of his car. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. Why say that? What is going on here? Why are we always lied to about this stuff? Stuff that we can see with our own eyes. What is it they're so afraid of? I'm going to be talking about that, and there's some other issues for me that just do not quite ring true about what we're seeing here, and especially as well, may I say, about what we saw at that Christmas market in Germany. But it's funny, isn't it? Because like the New Orleans car attack that killed 15, indeed being investigated now as a terror attack, the alleged attacker even had that ISIS flag. Why did US authorities, yet again, try to cover up another possible Islamist terror attack? And big questions now over what his track record was. Was he known to authorities? And if the answer to that is yes, how do we get these people out of our societies before they attack? Stay tuned.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. Things are looking much colder now across the UK over the next few days. There'll be plenty of sunshine around during the day, but also lots of frost and ice around during the overnight periods. Wintry showers in places too. Low pressure starting to pull away to the east of the UK now. That's allowing a cold northerly airstream to become established, and that's set to dominate the weather across the UK over the next few days. So overnight tonight, the last of the rain clears from the far southeast fairly promptly. Showers ease across the central slice of the UK, but showers continue across the north and northwest in that northwesterly airstream. And wherever you are, it's set to turn very chilly overnight, and widespread frost forming, even in towns and cities, with some icy patches certainly across the north of the UK. As for Thursday, well, plenty of sunshine around, certainly across inland areas. Still showers feeding down in that north to northwesterly airstream. So showers continue across the north of Scotland during the first part of Thursday, a mixture of sleet, snow, some hail in places as well. A few showers pushing into Northern Ireland, but across the bulk of southern Scotland, northern England, and much of England and Wales. It's set fair, plenty of sunshine, but it will be a very cold start, as I say, with some frost and some ice in places too. As we go through the day, those showers start to feed down from the north and northwest. So many areas exposed to that north to northwesterly airstream will see some showers at times. And wherever you are, despite the sunshine elsewhere, it's going to be a cold day, feeling even colder in that north to northwesterly wind. Temperatures at the very best up to 6 or 7 Celsius down towards the south and southwest. 6 or 7 in the southwest there is in the low 40s in Fahrenheit, but feeling closer to or just below freezing in that brisk wind. As for Friday, well, lots of showers feeding in from the north and northwest. Again, they'll be wintry for many areas and a frosty start, and temperatures again struggling with those showers, if anything, becoming more widespread as we go into the weekend. Areas of rain and snow moving in from the southwest as we go through Saturday and Sunday. Can well give some disruption in places, so do keep tuned to the forecast if you can. I'll see you soon. Take care for now. Speak soon. Bye-bye for now.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be joining the Great British Giveaway list of winners with your chance to grab a fantastic £50,000 in tax-free cash.
My name is Cliff. And my name is Julie. And we won $25,000. I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Thank you, Britain.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for subscribing.
Thank you for your support.
It's you that make us the People's Channel.
As we reflect on our journey so far, we're filled with immense gratitude.
You mean the world to us. We couldn't have reached this point without you.
As a very special thank you, we are giving you the chance to win one of 50 GB News thank you boxes. They're worth £50 each.
For full terms and conditions, and to enter, just go to gbnews.com/thank you.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight. "15 people have been confirmed dead. 5 more suspected people on the loose, apparently, as well. It's an ongoing story, this. This is the latest ISIS terror attack, this time in New Orleans.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
Yeah, bear in mind that that is the same woman, by the way, who told us initially that it wasn't a terror attack. But how many jihadis are currently on the loose? And
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found.
Are they lying to us deliberately here, do you think? Do you think this is a deliberate thing to try to steer us away from Islamist terrorism? Oh, and earlier today, this happened outside Trump's hotel in Las Vegas.
Copy.
Well, this might be on one of the front pages as well. Have a look at this.
For almost a decade, rumours swirled about children being raped and brutally assaulted in a small town in northwest England.
An absolutely disgusting and unacceptable grooming gang cover-up. Heads must roll. Plus,
I want to be clear, until you can look forward and believe in the promise and the prosperity of Britain again, then this government will fight for you.
what can he do, if anything, to turn it around in 2025? I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages with political commentator Alice Grant. We've also got journalist and author Emma Wolfe and political commentator Samuel Sweet. Thank you very much. Oh, and James Bond, the new James Bond has been revealed, everybody. Yes, it's a shock entry, but he's going in, he's going to do it. Apparently he's accepted the role. And he's, yeah, it's Richard Tice. Anyway, get ready, Britain, here we go. If it looks like an Islamist terror attack, it's probably an Islamist terror attack. Next.
Good evening. These are your headlines from the GB Newsroom. The suspect, accused of driving a truck through a crowd in New Orleans, killing 10 people and injuring at least 35, has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar. The FBI are investigating this morning's deadly attack as an act of terrorism. They have provided more details on the attacker, saying he's a US citizen from Texas, and they do not believe he acted alone. They added that an ISIS flag was located in the vehicle, and they're working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organisations. Weapons and a potential improvised explosive device were also located in the vehicle. Other potential IEDs were also located in the French Quarter. Local police said the driver of the vehicle got out and opened fire on police, with 2 officers shot, but in a stable condition, while the suspect was declared dead at the scene. The US President Joe Biden says he has been continually briefed on the incident and that he is grateful for the brave and swift response of local law enforcement in preventing even greater death and injury. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says his administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as it investigates and recovers from this morning's attack. In other news now, Sir Keir Starmer has hailed 2024 as a year of change as he shared his first New Year's message as Prime Minister. Sir Keir declared that the UK will embark on a year of rebuilding and rediscovering the nation we are in 2025.
Until you can look forward and believe in the promise and the prosperity of Britain again, then this government will fight for you.
But the Conservatives have accused Labour of offering change for the worse, as Kemi Badenoch used her own New Year's message to warn that efforts to turn around Tory fortunes would be bumpy.
Happy New Year.
Like all of you, I am looking forward to a 2025 that is full of hope, security, and prosperity. The Conservative Party is also going through a period of change. This process of renewal will be a long-term project. Things may be bumpy along the way, but the party I now lead is going to do things differently. Watch this space.
Now, a major incident has been declared in Greater Manchester after flooding forced homes to be evacuated and closed train lines and roads following heavy rain. More than 100 flood warnings have been issued across the UK as rain continues to batter parts of the country on the first day of 2025. Meanwhile, a 3-day snow warning has been issued for almost all of England and parts of Scotland this weekend, as the Met Office has warned rural communities could become cut off. And Jocelyn Wildenstein has died at the age of 84. The socialite, nicknamed Catwoman because she reportedly had many facial surgeries in the hope of resembling a cat, has passed away on Tuesday in Paris from a pulmonary embolism. Those are the latest GB News headlines. More in an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome along. Every single time there's a terror attack, the first instinct of the security services is try and cover it up.
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is there improvised explosive devices that was found.
It's definitely not terror. It's definitely not terror. Well, what about the ISIS flag attached to his car? I mean, you can't see it there because it was actually ironically covered up by security officials on the scene. Why, though? Why try to hide it? OK? We had a picture of the attacker very early. Why? Well, because he had a mugshot, didn't he? Which implies he's committed crimes before. And here we go.
Reports coming out here in local media that he was actually he was turned in twice for his radicalization within the United States Army, yet he still served in a very high role within the reserves. And so you're finding out more and more about this individual. But if he did have links to ISIS, as he protests, that he obviously wanted the world to know about because he put the flag on his car when he did this act of terrorism.
Yeah. Obviously, the usual types are tripping over themselves to say that he's some kind of all-American man next door. He's a US Army veteran, born and raised in Texas, isn't it? I mean, there can be no question that, checks notes, Shamsuddin Jabbar is as American as apple pie. We see it every time, don't we? The FBI put this out. Oh, yeah, OK, they put this out. There we are. So, look at this. An ISIS flag was located in the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organisations. Right. Do we not think that that investigation might take about 10 seconds? But anyway, he's killed 15 people. He's got an ISIS flag on the back of the car, but we couldn't possibly jump to conclusions, could we? Frankly, there's just no way of knowing, is there, what the true motives are here? I mean, the guy basically has "I'm a jihadi" tattooed on his forehead, but unfortunately, the bollards of peace that we have everywhere now, usually to protect us, of course, as we all know from radical Mormons, yeah? It's always the Mormons, isn't it? Those bollards of peace, they were under construction. So here, in a way, we now have two great failures of Western culture rolled into one. The fact that we have essentially cuckolded ourselves to radical Islam, but that we also never seem able to complete a basic infrastructure project. Here's the Islamist talking about himself in a video clip.
I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life. With the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch.
Look at that. You'd never know, would you? You'd never know, really, apart from the fact that intelligence services might literally have known. And it appears that there's a network of jihadis now in the New Orleans area.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
So now they tell us, aren't you just sick and tired of everyone always tripping over themselves to try to do everything possible to avoid saying it's yet another radical Muslim? Let's get the thoughts from my panel this evening. We do, of course, have the wonderful Emma Wolf. We've also got Alice Grant and Samuel Sweek. Thank you very much again. Look, I know that we spoke a little bit about this at the top of the last hour, but I just kind of want to move it on a little bit, I think, and say that it's 15 dead now, sadly. We believe that there are more people on the run as well at the moment. What do you make, Emma, of this idea sometimes that there appears to be a big resistance to actually just saying what we all know, right? The ISIS flag's a giveaway.
Yeah. What is the cover-up all about? Surely the overriding priority just has to be the truth. Yeah, whatever side you come down on, just what we know and what we can see. And what you've shown there is what we can actually see and what we know of this suspect's past. If there were more IEDs found in the French Quarter, in the area, this is a potentially even more dangerous and deadly situation. Already 15 dead, possibly many more. Surely, therefore, the priority has to be not only respect for the victims, i.e. telling the truth, but also safety, public safety. These are all of us going out every day. We need to know as much as we can be told in order to keep ourselves safe.
It's also, it undermines...
It's not that we want to attack people or say that, you know, these certain groups are doing nasty things. It's not that we want to invent lies. It's that the public would like to know the facts so they can keep themselves safe, Patrick.
On that, it does seem as though there is this attempt at a cover-up, and it undermines trust, doesn't it? And it's a depressing state of affairs when you see press conferences like we've seen today. I don't know about you, but my first instinct is I'm looking for what they're not telling us, if that makes sense.
Precisely, and I think something that Emma touched on, which was a very good point, is the fact that we want to know the truth. And we've seen over the last years many crises where I don't think the British public have felt that full confidence in the media. And I'm thinking about COVID here. I'm thinking about when it comes to things like Brexit. I mean, if we remember, like, the amount of media coverage telling us that we would literally fall off the face of the earth if it should go through. You know, I mean, these are things that would really undermine public trust in our institutions, and that is a massive issue because ultimately it's affecting our democracy. If we cannot trust our media to cover news transparently and with truth in mind, then we can no longer watch the news just believing in anything they say.
Do you think we can handle the truth? Again, I will say that at the moment, just so we've got the latest update on it, it appears that there's possibly 3 or 4 people currently on the run who may have been responsible for planting other devices around the New Orleans area, so we'll watch this space. There is also this quite bizarre thing taking place at the moment where Tesla's blown up outside a Trump hotel, so we're going to keep you updated with that. Do you think there's a case, Samuel, to say that actually we can't handle the truth? You know, if we're told all of this stuff, we might go out and start, you know, burning hotels to the ground and all that stuff?
I don't so much think it's a case of not being able to handle the truth, but what I think probably is the authorities' thinking is we live in such an age where social media often can dictate the way that these incidents are debated, and there's, I think, within the people's interest sometimes, although it can erode trust, I suppose, to keep the information to a bare minimum, to avoid misinformation being put out there, dangerous assumptions being made, and I can understand both sides of that particular coin. But as I said, the social media age we're in now, it's so easy for somebody just to say something.
Well, the video's out. More often than not, there's a video of it, of course, isn't there? Yeah. And then it becomes...
But it's when we're not being told the truth. Surely that creates the vacuum and the anger and the conspiracy theories and the lies and the rumours and the social media speculation. 100%. When we're not told the truth. And look, if we can't trust our authority, our security services, and they've failed many, many times, if they can't be trusted to keep us safe and to go after known suspects, because many of these people were known to the authorities. As you say, why was there a mugshot? Suddenly pops up. If we can't trust our security services, then we trust ourselves to keep ourselves safe and not to go to Christmas markets or not to go to areas which are considered high risk. I wouldn't take my child to a Christmas market if the authorities told me. It is terribly depressing. It's changing our ways of life. In Germany, across Germany, Christmas markets are a massive thing. They are stopping having them.
Not a chance I would ever go. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Because actually it would probably be quite a nice day out.
It is a lovely thing to do, but it's not safe. If it's not safe, I want to know that.
We've got these bollards. I do I get a bit of stick for saying this. I tend to call them the bollards of peace, of course, but they're everywhere, though, aren't they, Alice? And in this case, unfortunately, they were not erected because, ironically, there was maintenance taking place on them, which didn't happen. So, why are they? Why are they everywhere? At what point do we think we wake up and we go, look, we have got a massive problem here?
No, for sure. I think it was pointed out that actually one thing to be positive about is that at least here in London, during our New Year's celebrations, there was lots of effort, especially with bollards, to make sure that the public was safe. So we can be happy and proud about that. But as you said, these things are here to protect us. If they're not being used, that it utterly undermines their point. But something Emma was saying earlier as well, which I just want to touch again about the media, is the fact that I agree that I think that the media stokes a lot more panic, fear and anger than I think anything else, and especially that the truth. We want to know the truth. I think we humans
depends where you look at that, doesn't it? Because I get it. From people who are not particularly aligned or whatever, I think many people might accuse me of doing that. They might say, oh, you stoking. So I would look at it as like, well, I want to talk about this. Why have we got armed police at Christmas markets? Why have we got... So I don't want to... There's that fine line. I don't want to scare the living daylights out of anyone, but at the same time, it's there, isn't it?
I was just thinking particularly about the COVID coverage, and I remember when it was like the BBC had like the deaths like going off daily on your screen. I mean, exactly, things like that. I mean, they are designed. These are behavioural things which are designed to scale.
Bit of a I haven't seen a death ticker recently to show us the obesity crisis in this country, or the flu crisis. I mean, many people, or the pensioners dying of the cold.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely spot on. Are you worried about how Trump handles this? So. When we had an incident during his first regime, there was this so-called Muslim travel ban, which caused a huge amount of controversy. He's got that in his locker, hasn't he? I mean, are you concerned about maybe the way he might handle this?
Yeah, actually. I say it how it is. I find Trump is an incredibly dangerous and stoking individual. And I think that he can mobilise a base. And if you look at the way he's responded to incidents before, and then you can go back to, say, like Charlottesville, where there was a demonstration, the Unite the Right demonstration, where a counter-demonstration was attacked, and I think somebody was actually mowed down in a car and killed. And, he refused to condemn that in the same way that he, at this very early stage here, is condemning it wholeheartedly.
OK. On that, then, so I can see you were pulling a little bit of a face there. Go on.
I just come out in a rash when people on the left call him dangerous. There are many... Well, firstly, he's just been elected. Secondly, when people agree with someone and then everybody else calls them dangerous, I just don't understand what's going on. All these millions... It's so disrespectful.
But I think that deliberately targeting a particular religion, an entire population of a religion... based on the actions of a very, very small amount of people is dangerous. That is stoking. That is inflaming. Absolutely, it is. You can't collectively punish the entire religion of Islam based on the actions of some pathetic terrorists.
Let's look at the word and the definition of dangerous, because I think clearly it might mean to you very different things here. When I think of dangerous, I think of someone who's actively making threats to kill people, like, someone like Putin, or someone who has a large-scale army that they are stoking war. Or exactly. Yeah. So
who's driving into crowds or inciting violence in some way.
I think we should use the word dangerous quite carefully, because the issue is that should hold power, and that should mean something. And if we just, perhaps use it a bit negligently, then people will be fearful of the President of the United States of America. He's been president before. It was fine. In fact, the economy in America was never better. So we should really just...
This man's taken a bullet, and imagine the hysteria if Kamala Harris had they'd tried to assassinate her. The interpretations, him saying peacefully we should come together was, he incited a march on Capitol Hill. All of this stuff is just so so open to interpretation. But I really object to people calling him dangerous.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. I mean, I think that if everything does go... I appreciate you will probably be less optimistic than I am, but if everything does go well with Trump, then I hope that we have a blueprint that we can copy-paste here, and maybe in other areas around Europe as well, when it comes to things like border security, when it comes to things like maybe clamping down on this kind of stuff as well. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Look, just to reiterate that latest on that incident in New Orleans, as we understand it, 15 people have sadly lost their lives now after a man with an ISIS flag on the back of his truck, pickup truck, careered through New Year's Eve celebrations there. Around 30 or so others are currently injured in hospital. The attacker has been named. Yes, he was born in Texas. He even served in the army, apparently, at one stage. But again, I will emphasise he did have an ISIS flag on the back of his truck, so that tends to speak for itself, doesn't it? But more updates on that as and when we get it. But if you didn't get everything, going to complete gear change, if you didn't get everything on your Christmas list, then you can win 50 grand in tax-free cash. It's never a good time to do this, is it? It really could be all yours. And our biggest ever Great British giveaway. Here's all the details for you to win it.
There's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize ever, an incredible £50,000. What would you spend £50,000 on in the coming year? Spectacular holidays, a brand new car, home improvements, or maybe you'd just like to save it for a special occasion? For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Good luck indeed. Coming up at 10:30 p.m, myself and my press pack, we've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. And can you tell me what's going on here?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, no expense spared. You won't believe what happens next. But before all of that, we do have some more information coming into us right now about this incident in New Orleans. So stay tuned for that.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Lee Anderson's Real World, Fridays from 7 p.m.
I'm joined with Ryan Mark Parsons, who's a TV personality, a columnist, and he was on The Apprentice a few years back, weren't you? That's where most people would recognise your face from. One of the youngest contenders ever on The Apprentice. How did that work out?
Well, you know what? I never in a million years thought I'd get on the show. I was 18 when I applied. There were about 6 months of auditions. It was intense. You met Lord Sugar's advisors, his lawyers, his business advisors. It was the most intense thing I've ever done. And I just thought, never in a million years am I going to get on the show as a teenager. And I got the call from the exec. And he was like, you're one of the 16 candidates. And it was just like, really? So I took a gap year. I've just finished my A-levels. I was working in Harrods before. And I just came up with this business idea, took it onto the show. And I got fired in the end. I lasted 8 weeks, which wasn't too bad. But
what was the business idea? Educate me.
A concierge, similar to companies like Velocity Black, quintessentially, that work with some of the private banks. It was similar to that. I was inspired by my time in Harrods, working with some of these ultra high net worth clients. So I just wrote a 40-page business plan like we all have to do. But I didn't make it to the interview, so I didn't get to talk about it. But no, it was a great experience, a very tough experience, but unforgettable.
So at a young age, how did that change your life at that age? Because you must have got recognised, starting to be recognised when you're going out and about town.
Yeah, I mean, it happened quite quickly because the adverts start rolling out on BBC One and then the shows go on air. It's once a week on a Wednesday. You're getting about 7 million people tuning in every week.
Yep.
And yeah, it was surreal. It was surreal. And then suddenly you get invitations to things. You're going to premieres and it was a lot. It was a lot at a young age. And I obviously had no training for any of that. But I just embraced it and I've had fun with it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. OK, all right, so look, there's a lot of ongoing stuff happening in New Orleans at the moment. We're staying on that sad topic. 15 people now have reportedly been killed after a vehicle ploughed into a crowd of people celebrating the New Year. So the suspect has been named as Shamsuddin Bahar Jabbar, obviously a strong American name there, with some US media outlets reporting an ISIS flag was found tethered to the vehicle. In fact, we don't have to say it was reported because we can see it, can't we? But reports suggest that the driver of the vehicle got out, he then opened fire on crowds, with police firing back. President-elect Donald Trump posted a statement on Truth Social earlier today, which said this: "Our hearts are with all the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil." Joining us now is US political commentator Andrew Buncombe. Andrew, thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. It appears at the moment, and in fact, this is actually on the front of one of our national newspapers' front pages tomorrow. So it's just landed now. We've just seen it, actually. We'll try and get it up in a second. But that there is an ISIS terror cell on the loose in New Orleans. It's serious stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's let the authorities speak for the facts. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Obviously, this guy, as you pointed out, he drove into this crowd with a homemade, flag that bore resemblance to previous ISIS flags that we've seen, either in the Middle East or...
Oh, I think, sorry, guys, I think we might have a little issue with Andrew's connection. We'll get him back. Andrew, sorry about that. Sorry, we knocked you off there for a second. But actually, just on that, Andrew, what we are looking at now is apparently live footage from New Orleans, as you would imagine, big police presence there. People back out and about on the streets, though. People are deciding that they want to carry on with their lives. Andrew, how do you see Trump reacting to this? Do you think this is something that he's going to try to pounce upon? Do you think this is going to be something that he's going to try to use in a way? I don't mean that negatively. I just think, do you think we're going to see something serious from him on this?
Well, I think he's going to have to think a little bit twice and be careful because, as you put, I think one of your guests earlier said, the guy who is the suspect, he was born in Texas. He's a U.S. citizen. He served in the U.S. Army. So it's not as though someone who has slipped across the border, as Mr. Trump has initially suspected and said on Truth Social. So it appears that this guy became radicalized locally in Texas. And so I think what the FBI is looking at now is, is he part of a broader cell? How did he become radicalized? There's a talk about that he was
just on that as well, Andrew. It's just because it's an important thing to say, I think, which is that at the moment, anyway, the authorities suspect that there might be 2 men and 1 woman who have apparently been responsible for laying some other explosives. So we wait and see it. Go on, Andrew,
Yeah, they've also collected and taken care of several explosive devices on the streets of New Orleans. Like you say, this place is world famous. It's known all over the globe as a place for revelers and music and, you know, people going out and having a good time. So I'm not surprised that people are a combination of trying to get back to life or curiosity the day after, even though it is such a terrible, awful incident that, you know, that we're learning about now.
I mean, this could have been, look, 15 dead, absolute tragedy. Hopefully that doesn't rise. It may well rise. We have roughly about 35 of those injured. We have to wait and see. But this could have been even worse. I mean, you're talking there about explosive devices found just dotted around New Orleans on New Year's Eve, as it was at the time, people out and about.
Right.
I mean, seriously, this could have been absolutely huge, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it could have been, you know, several scale more, right? I mean, I'm not an expert on the impact of these devices, but it could have been higher. It could have been bigger numbers. It's bad enough as it is. Like you say, there are 30 people injured. Who knows how many of them are going to survive? Some of them presumably more seriously injured than others. And very often, if not invariably in these incidents, the number goes up rather than, you know, it doesn't ever come down.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, we'll have to wait and see what the latest is. Again, I will just say, you know, this comes off the back of numerous reports recently from our intelligence services anyway, and actually across the continent of Europe as well, saying, look, we need to be aware of the fact that ISIS and Al-Qaeda are kind of back at it in a similar way as they were around 2016, 2017. Very concerning stuff. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen whatever that was at that German Christmas market, which is quite weird, really, when you look at the output that he was putting on social media versus the reality of him attacking a Christmas market. We'll hopefully get to the bottom of that at some point. And then this. Now, very, very, very concerning stuff. I just feel, Andrew, I hate to say it, I just feel like kind of something's brewing, I think.
Well, I hope you're wrong. You know, let's hope you're wrong. But I mean, I think it's upon all of us to be alert to it, right?
Yeah, it is indeed. Andrew, thank you very much. And, you know, good luck with everything in the year ahead as well. Andrew Buncombe there, who's a US political commentator. Thank you. Right, OK, look, still to come. I have got all of tomorrow's newspaper front page. You saw a sneak peek there of the Telegraph. They've gone with IS terror sect on the loose in the US. But coming up, my panel are going to bring their greatest Britons and union jackasses. Oh, yeah, and what is going on here?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never guess what happens next. That was a little highlight, actually, from the New Year's Eve show last night. Thank you very much, everybody who tuned in for that. But next, yes, that's right, we're going to be giving you the very first look at tomorrow's front pages. So, see you in a sec.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. Things are looking much colder now across the UK over the next few days. There'll be plenty of sunshine around during the day, but also lots of frost and ice around during the overnight periods. Wintry showers in places too. Low pressure starting to pull away to the east of the UK now. That's allowing a cold northerly airstream to become established, and that's set to dominate the weather across the UK over the next few days. So overnight tonight, the last of the rain clears from the far southeast fairly promptly. Showers ease across the central slice of the UK, but showers continue across the north and northwest in that northwesterly airstream. And wherever you are, it's set to turn very chilly overnight, and widespread frost forming, even in towns and cities, with some icy patches certainly across the north of the UK. As for Thursday, well, plenty of sunshine around, certainly across the inland areas. Still showers feeding down in that north to northwesterly airstream. So showers continue across the north of Scotland during the first part of Thursday, a mixture of sleet, snow, some hail in places as well. A few showers pushing into Northern Ireland, but across the bulk of southern Scotland, northern England, and much of England and Wales. It's set fair, plenty of sunshine, but it will be a very cold start, as I say, with some frost and some ice in places too. As we go through the day, those showers start to feed down from the north and northwest. So many areas exposed to that north to northwesterly airstream will see some showers at times. And wherever you are, despite the sunshine elsewhere, it's going to be a cold day, feeling even colder in that north to northwesterly wind. Temperatures at the very best up to 6 or 7 Celsius down towards the south and southwest. 6 or 7 in the southwest there is in the low 40s in Fahrenheit, but feeling closer to or just below freezing in that brisk wind. As for Friday, well, lots of showers feeding in from the north and northwest. Again, they'll be wintry for many areas and a frosty start, and temperatures again struggling with those showers, if anything, becoming more widespread as we go into the weekend. Areas of rain and snow moving in from the southwest as we go through Saturday and Sunday. Could well give some disruption in places, so do keep tuned to the forecast if you can. I'll see you soon. Take care for now. Speak soon. Bye-bye for now.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's do the front pages now. So it's the Eye. We've got COVID courts to stay open as backlog delays trials to 2028. I'll give you a bit more detail on this. So emergency courts opened in hotels and conference centres during the pandemic are set to be retained years after they were meant to deal with COVID delays. These are the so-called Nightingale courts. We might have a chat about that, actually. So let's just get the rest of the front pages first, though. So Daily Express. Terror driver hell-bent on carnage kills 10. I regret to inform you that is now up to 15, apparently. He had an ISIS flag on his truck. The Telegraph, they also run with this story. IS cell behind New Orleans terror plot. They've also got a story at the bottom here. NHS obesity treatment quadruples in a decade. And health warning as temperatures fall to -10. Where's that? Let's have a look. Where in the country could be? It's got to be somewhere like Aberdeen, hasn't it? I suppose this really. Oh, no, London could experience temperatures of -6, apparently. Glasgow is going to be -7. Birmingham and Manchester could be cold as well. Right, have I got another front page here? Oh, good, I've got The Guardian. Fantastic. We couldn't do without that, could we? 10 dead after truck flying IS flag drives into crowd in New Orleans. So, look, same story there. There's something on the front of the Mail, though, which is quite interesting, as well, as Emma was pointing out. What's the truth behind Meghan's dramatic 2025 beach video relaunch? So, she's back on social media. Emma, what do we make of this?
I can make a very confident prediction. Whatever Meghan's dramatic beach video relaunch is all about, it'll be about Meghan.
Well, yeah, I think so. That Netflix Polo documentary, or whatever it is, has been absolutely panned, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely panned. What do you think? What do you think it's a signal of intent here? If she's rejoining Instagram, I don't know. I mean, are we going to be hearing a lot more about virtue signaling? Or are you a Meghan fan? I can't quite read you on this one. You don't care, do you? You do care about COVID courts.
But I can absolutely talk about COVID courts.
Let's do that then.
Well, I just think that actually it's really good that finally our criminal justice system is seeing some space on the headlines, because we have a system which is absolutely on its knees, and no one talks about it because there's not much, I guess, interest in politicians in trying to deal with our enormous backlog of cases. But the criminal justice system is really at its knees. And, I mean, it's mentioned here you have 73,000 cases which are yet to come before a judge. And when they do, how many of them are going to go to appeal? The point is that ultimately we're in a very dire situation, and, you know, the barristers who are working in these courts are entirely overworked and really badly underpaid. Most of the cases are legal aid funded, so it's costing the taxpayer a lot, but it's not getting enough time. So.
I was quite surprised. I was chatting to a former friend of mine who's a barrister when they were starting out, and I kind of just assumed that they were on a load of money, actually. And obviously, when you get to a certain level, you are, but by the time that they travelled to wherever they needed to go and spent hours getting across the case, they might make like 30 quid in the round, which is insane, isn't it? Yeah. And they've got here, distressed victims pull out of prosecutions and defendants are left in legal limbo. Samuel, look, you know, justice needs to be seen to be done. We can't have a situation where people are pulling out trials, you know?
I mean, no, I mean, I mean, we hear all the time how difficult it is for many cases to even make it to the courts. And as, you know, if people are a victim of crime, that's something that stays with them for a long time. People want to have justice. They do not want this hanging over their heads. It's great news that they are going to be clearing the backlog, and I genuinely hope that people get the justice they deserve.
So these Nightingale courts. They're going to be open for at least another 12 months, apparently, in order to maximise capacity. Mounting backlog, creaking criminal justice system sees some trials pushed back to 2028. 73,000 cases are currently waiting to go before a judge, Emma.
But it goes even further back than finally getting to trial. It goes back to our law and order system. It's a completely broken Victorian system. You don't lock people in a room or lock them behind walls, which in any case are infiltrated all the time by phones and drugs and all of that, and then release them and then expect them to be kind of somehow fixed and mended. All they're doing in prison is learning, you know, more ways to commit crime. We just have such a short-term attitude to prisons and crime and rehabilitation.
Final word from you on this. I mean, do you hope that this actually does something about it? I mean, we can't. We also couple it, don't you? I think with the video footage I think I might have played yesterday, but people are just nicking stuff from shops now, aren't they? I mean, no one fears anything.
The people who lose out on this the most are the law-abiding citizens and the victims of crime. I mean, can you imagine having a crime perpetrated against you, having to wait until 2028 to see justice? And, you know, sentencing...
cleared, actually,
and the issue as well, another big issue is that judges are so worried and concerned about the level of how much our prisons are just completely over capacity. They're not sentencing people what they should deserve because they don't want to send them to prison, which, quite frankly, is unbelievable.
I remember when I used to do, when I was starting out in local journalism and stuff, you'd get sent to the local magistrates court. That court is now closed, actually, Kendal, I believe, so that's a sign, isn't it? But I remember going in there and watching a woman, I think it was a couple of days before Christmas, years ago, she'd nicked a candle from Boots. It was like 70p or something. And she got sent down for that. It wasn't her first offence, to be fair. She had a couple of kids. I think there's no way she's getting sent down for that now. By the way, I don't necessarily think she should have been, but the point is people are obviously, they're not getting sentenced now to prison in the same way that they were before. Let's just whiz this on, because this clip came through to us last night, and we were doing the New Year's Eve spectacular, so thank you very much for everybody who watched that. So Sir Keir Starmer's slightly lacklustre display when turning on the Downing Street Christmas lights last month, well, some very witty GB News viewers have seen in the new year with their own take on Keir Starmer's dulcet tones.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, release the sausages.
Happy New Year, Mama. Happy New Year, pensioners. Happy New Year, everybody.
Hey.
It's the Rachel Reeves that gets me.
I clocked Angela Rayner. Whoops.
No brainer with Angela Rayner, yeah. But that just came through, like, completely unsolicited. Last night, we were just on the show, and someone emailed in, and we were like, we saw the video, and we were like, oh, that's obviously getting played out on the news, so there we go. Yeah, well done, whoever you are. There is maybe a point here, so I'll come to you on this as our resident lefty this evening. Are they a joke? You know, if they are, that's...
Well, if they're a joke, they're not a very funny one, Patrick. Right. Because, I mean...
We're crying with laughter.
Well, I mean, like, I mean, genuinely, I love the internet. Like, you know, top marks to that. But, I mean, like, on a very serious note, I mean, they're 6 months or so into government, and they are a parody. You know, they are dull, they lack charisma. People don't have belief that things are going to change. They are a parody. And, like, they really... I mean, we're at the point now, and, I mean... It's going to be a difficult couple of years, I think, for them. In the next election, I think I don't think Labour will win the next election.
Where are you? Are you going to go Green? Do you think?
I voted Green in the last election, but I mean, you know, I live in Tottenham. I mean, I'm not voting for David Lammy, put it that way.
Right. The reason I ask is because I think there's quite a few people who I think are really to the left who don't really know where to go next time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. Yeah, I mean, I think the political system doesn't actually serve very many people very well, and I think certainly if you are on the left, the Labour Party isn't there with you. You know, you're not going to vote Tory, you're not going to vote for reform. And, you know, and Keir Starmer, by the way, who tried to destroy Jeremy Corbyn, got absolutely humiliated in Islington North. And I think that, and, you know, we've got the most independent MPs elected for a very long time in Parliament now, and I think that that is probably the future of progressive politics.
God, wow. Given the fact that one of them went to bat for cousin marriage, I'm not entirely sure I agree with you there, but I do take your point. Right, coming up next, more of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. We've got Greatest Britain, Union Jackass as well, so stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest GB News winter sun forecast, and for some places, Madeira for example, it is going to be relatively warm to end the week. Lots of dry weather around some parts of southern Europe, but a different story across parts of Italy, Croatia into Greece. A little bit of rain pushing its way through here. Mostly dry across central and southern parts of Spain, a little bit wetter further north, and like I said, for Madeira, temperatures on the rise, getting into the low 20s by the end of the week. Elsewhere, temperatures nearer normal for the time of year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
As Strictly Come Dancing approaches its iconic Blackpool episode, marking halfway through the competition, visually impaired dancers across the country have spoken out about how groundbreaking the casting of Chris McCausland is, who suffers from, if I hope I'm saying this correctly, retinitis pigmentosa, and they have found him particularly inspiring. We've been talking, Sean, about how the casting of Strictly has been inspiring to so many people, but I imagine there'll be lots of people who are watching this at home finding your story of resilience really inspiring, because you've obviously really been through it. Is dancing something that has sort of, you know, helped keep you going through all of those troubles? And what does it mean to you to see casting like this on a show like Strictly Come Dancing?
Like I say, all the things I went through. So those 9 years when I wasn't dancing, you know, I was still dancing in my head and just banging on to other people. Very much not just people with sight loss. You know, I've been a big advocate for people with social isolation. So many people on their own now, social anxiety, especially since COVID. And I just want people to get out. The stuff that I'm doing and all the stuff Christys is obviously doing, it will inspire others. Again, like I say, just not people just with sight loss. I had so many people come up to me in the early days, guys, and now that say, you know what, Shawnee, I've seen you do it, so I'm just going to do it. But you just got to get over yourself, because if you bother to do the maths, you know, because all it is maths and walking. Yeah. You know, that's all it is.
Maths and walking actually sounds quite difficult.
Sean, thank you.
Oh, come on, mate. Can you shout? Can you walk? Crack on.
Sean, you're an inspiration. Thank you, mate, for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. You're a star, and so glad.
Just before I go, I'm just going to say this is Kev. Here's Kev.
GB News, the People's Channel.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Two more front pages for you now. The Mirror, they're also carrying that story on the front of this terror attack in America. They go straight down the line, actually, just say America under attack. ISIS, in quotes, gunman drives at a party, killing 10. That number now is 15, so sorry to inform you of that. Let's go to the Daily Star, and, well, it's completely different. They're going off on farting cows. So the cow that saved the world, IVF calf Hilda, spearheads fart-free animal breeding campaign to end climate change. Look, I can't honestly say I've given this a huge amount of thought, but it feels to me like cows are probably meant to fart, and it's a bit weird if we stop them doing that. And where does that go? But anyway, one of life's great unanswered questions. Let's whiz ourselves on with Greatest Britain and Union Jackass. And Emma, can you start us off with your Greatest Britain, please?
My Greatest Britain is Richard Tice. I think deputy leader, not leader anymore, deputy leader of Reform. Anyway, one of the small band of Reform MPs in the House of Commons who I think have done a huge amount to overturn politics in 2024 and to hold the idiots on both sides to account. But anyway, Richard Tice has been pictured by his partner Isabel Oakeshott on Twitter today, braving. Apparently he does this every year. I see Ticey, there he is, looking a little bit like Daniel Craig, looking, to my mind, rather hot. You can't imagine Keir Starmer doing that now. Look at that.
I mean,
Look
it's
at that.
apparently
Let's appreciate
60.
a fine specimen. Anyway, braving the waves, bit courageous, a bit
there we go.
crazy.
There we go.
Okay, maybe
this was
not
a
so
marathon.
much Daniel Craig.
No, to be fair, this we obviously had to do this, right? So that is which one's which.
Good. Good for Richard Tyson. You can't imagine Keir Starmer doing that.
I don't want to imagine.
I'm really glad that we can't imagine Starmer doing that.
Yeah, no, I am.
I mean, a man who can't even buy his own glasses.
Yeah,
I say
true.
politely.
That's true.
You know, he wouldn't get in the waters when it's -10 or whatever it is down.
I suspect not. And
on the beach.
Hopefully it's a hard no on that regard. But a good start. OK. Who's your greatest Britain, please?
My greatest Britain is Dorothea Barron, and she actually appeared on GBNews. She's a 100-year-old veteran, and I met her, and I was so lucky to meet her because she was just incredibly inspiring and had such a vibrant character. And I think she's a living embodiment, really, of what it means to be courageous and self-sacrificial and brave, and above all for Britain and for this nation. She was a Wren in the Second World War, and 100 years old this year. And
I think there's something really cool about that.
Yeah.
I know this might sound a bit weird, but I just think there's something really cool about people that are like in the late 90s and 100. Just that wisdom.
And those women that were Wrens, I mean, they were young women and they were...
She was amazing. She was like,
serving.
yeah, I got my kinky boots on. And...
Right.
Yeah, and I was like,
It's life of the old dog, yeah, there we go.
100.
Good stuff. Go on, let's have who's your greatest Britain, mate?
Yeah. For me, for working hard over the Christmas and New Year period, it's Chris Packham, Megan McCubbin, and everyone who was out sabotaging fox hunts over Christmas and New Year.
OK, yes, so he's taking it upon himself now to do a little bit of a saboteur work, I suppose.
It's important work, Patrick. It's important work. Obviously, fox hunting is illegal. It's still very, very widely practiced in many parts of the country, including where I'm from in Cambridgeshire. And yeah, it's if we want to talk about two-tier policing and the two-tier system, then that's exhibited perfectly in fox hunting. And Chris Packham and Megan McCubbin have done great work to highlight that.
First name terms with the foxes that live outside my flat in the evening. I mean, good grief, the soundtrack.
My in London.
It's an unbelievable number of foxes, aren't there?
A fox the other day in broad daylight just faced me. It wasn't even like...
They're not scared anymore,
No, and I'm a wolf, right? I'm a wolf, and that fox, it wasn't like skulking around in the darkness, you know, ripping open the bins to get some food or scrawny. It was a fully, a well-padded fox in the middle of the street in Islington.
Oh, what's it coming to, eh? Right. If only there was a solution. No. OK, all right, greatest Britain is going to be... sorry, I've forgotten her name, sorry.
Dorothea Barron.
Dorothea Barron, yes, the fantastic, the 100-year-old veteran, the red. Richard Tyson, close second, I must say. Right, who's your Union Jackass, please? Emma?
My Union Jackass, is the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
Fair enough.
Today he gets the award for the New Year's Day message, and I'm actually even insulted that he invoked, VE Day and all of that, because if you're going to destroy this country, don't, hark back to our glorious and wonderful past. But no, actually, Patrick, I would like to award him Union Jackass every day for the next 365 days of 2025.
Or however long his prime minister...
I suspect somebody
However long it lasts, yeah.
Go on, then.
My Union Jackass is Ed Miliband, another Labour politician. And this is specifically on something you reported on so brilliantly, which is this new green agenda, which is going to cost taxpayers £37 billion. And as you rightly mentioned, they called it an investment. When are we going to see returns generated by this?
Yeah.
We aren't. We're going to see increased poverty. We're going to see people struggling to pay their bills at Christmas and the winter, and in fact, all year round. We're going to see households being unable to cope with larger energy bills.
Well, for what as well? For what? And again, it's that choice of language, isn't it? When people like Ed Miliband spend money, it's an investment.
Yep.
It's not just expenditure. Go on, so who's your Union Jackass, please?
Well, I mean, we're New Year's Day, and it looks like we're going free for free on Labour MPs.
Right.
Well, actually, no. Importantly, not a Labour MP. It's John Ashworth for being a horrendous and graceless loser online. I mean, he's
not still banging on about it, is he?
Oh my God. So Shocker Adam, who defeated him in July, was an optician by trade, and John Ashworth, in a long post now deleted, wrote a large essay about how people in Leicester could now get cheap non-rip-off glasses, and it's like, come on, man.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Grow up.
It's got something slightly Partridge about it, I think, isn't there? But there we go. Today's winner of the Union Jackass, I'm afraid, is Starmer.
Yes.
So there we go. Guys, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed tonight. It's a new panel, but but thoroughly enjoyable to have you on. Thank you for being part of my first show of the year. I hope you all have a fantastic year. Thank you for being part of GB News as well over the course of the year just gone, and no doubt in the coming months as well. So thank you very, very much. Headliners are up next. They're going to be having all of a look at your front pages, but also what's inside the book as well. So make sure you keep it GB News for the next hour. I'll see you tomorrow at 9.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, warm, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. Things are looking much colder now across the UK over the next few days. There'll be plenty of sunshine around during the day, but also lots of frost and ice around during the overnight periods. Wintry showers in places too. Low pressure starting to pull away to the east of the UK now. That's allowing a cold northerly airstream to become established, and that's set to dominate the weather across the UK over the next few days. So overnight tonight, the last of the rain clears from the far southeast fairly promptly. Showers ease across the central slice of the UK, but showers continue across the north and northwest in that northwesterly airstream. And wherever you are, it's set to turn very chilly overnight, and widespread frost forming even in towns and cities, with some icy patches certainly across the north of the UK. As for Thursday, well, plenty of sunshine around, certainly across the inland areas. Still showers feeding down in that north to northwesterly airstream. So showers continue across the north of Scotland during the first part of Thursday, a mixture of sleet, snow, some hail in places as well. A few showers pushing into Northern Ireland, but across the bulk of southern Scotland, northern England, and much of England and Wales. It's set fair, plenty of sunshine, but it will be a very cold start, as I say, with some frost and some ice in places too. As we go through the day, those showers start to feed down from the north and northwest. So many areas exposed to that north to northwesterly airstream will see some showers at times. And wherever you are, despite the sunshine elsewhere, it's going to be a cold day, feeling even colder in that north to northwesterly wind. Temperatures at the very best up to 6 or 7 Celsius down towards the south and southwest. 6 or 7 in the southwest there is in the low 40s in Fahrenheit, but feeling closer to or just below freezing in that brisk wind. As for Friday, well, lots of showers feeding in from the north and northwest. Again, they'll be wintry for many areas and a frosty start, and temperatures again struggling with those showers, if anything, becoming more widespread as we go into the weekend. Areas of rain and snow moving in from the southwest as we go through Saturday and Sunday. Can well give some disruption in places, so do keep tuned to the forecast if you can. I'll see you soon. Take care for now. Speak soon. Bye-bye for now.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat.
There's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize ever. An incredible £50,000. What would you spend £50,000 on in the coming year? Spectacular holidays, a brand new car, home improvements, or maybe you'd just like to save it for a special occasion. For another chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Britain's Royal Collection of Art is one of the most important and largest in the world. And it's also one of the last great European royal collections